I am always wanting to come up with new dye ideas, but the well was dry, let's just say. So my dye maker said, have you ever thought about an alphabet dye? And I said, I have, but I don't know how great it will sell, first of all. And I don't know that you'll be able to fit all the letters on the dye. And she said, basically, well, watch me. She said, send me a font that you like. So I chose a very quirky font. I have used this font. Where did I use it recently? I used it in something.
You used it in the spring.
The spring sampler.
Yes. Yeah.
And I can't remember the name of the font. She did fit all the letters on. So now my head is exploding with ideas to use this alphabet font.
The letters and the numbers.
Yeah, the letters are 1.5 inches, which sounds small, but they're still pretty big. 1.5 inches by approximately 1 inch wide. Of course, each one can be slightly different, but looking at them. The other die is a smaller version of our Edgings and Trims die. I added one shape, and it's this one. I wanted a wavy line. I also wanted this part to be a 1/2 inch, and I'll explain that to you why we did that. The reason I made this die, I love the Edgings and Trims die. You can use it for edgings and trims, obviously. You can also use it to make flowers. But I thought I wanted to do a smaller version because as you might remember, about a little less than a year ago, we put out a little booklet for finishing techniques for hooked rugs. Well, I also am kind of starting to prepare writing one for punch needle. It's very much the same, really. But there's a few different things you can do. So a lot of people use this, what do you call it again? I forget words. It's called pom-pom trim.
Edges
That's what it's
and
called.
Trims.
Pom-pom trim.
Yeah.
So with this in mind, I thought I'd kind of like to do something, but that's just a little bit bigger. So this one, which is on the original long Edgings and Trims. And you might ask yourself, well, why do I have to buy the long one for $125 if you have the short one? The long one, the shapes are bigger. So if you're going to use that for either bigger flowers or hooked rug edgings.
Yeah.
For instance, we did the Witch's Village with this trim, but because it was a hooked rug, the trim is bigger.
Yep.
So this is just, there's a million ways you can use these. You can also use these in an applique.
Can you stack those?
Yeah.
If you're doing a shared
I
rug.
stacked 3 of them for the Witch's Village.
Yeah.
I did a black, and then I did a orangey plaid in the middle, and then another black, and I staggered them so that it created a 3-layer edging. So it was with that in mind that I thought, want to create a smaller version for our punchers to have a die that they can use to cut wool, linen, silk, any fabric they want to use using this die.
Yeah. Here's, I'm just thinking of your spring sampler. Somebody could do
You can order the alphabet die now. It is on the website and it's on the home page.
Well, here's an applique. If you had this one, you could applique this. You could use this for your zigzag around your thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, you don't have to buy a die. We never like to push our products on anybody. This idea that we're going to do today, you
Tina
can
just bought it.
you can cut this by hand for what I'm going to show you today. Originally, this design had a bigger border. It was about out to here.
Had a huge border.
And it was extremely busy. And I had some apprehension when I gave it to Mom because I said, I don't think that's going to work. I think that this design on the edge is way too busy. You got a lot going on here.
And
so
it didn't work.
It didn't work. Mom started hooking it, and we were both like, no, it doesn't look it.
So we ended up putting this little line right here.
We ended, and then coming out 1 inch, I think.
Yeah.
So because this is enough right here. Yeah. However, if you wanted to add an edging like we're doing with the punch version, you certainly could. Okay. You could add perhaps. What I would do if I was going to add an edging to this using the larger edgings and trims, I might do the pom-pom trim, and I might do either just green with the larger die, mind you, so it's going to be about a little bit bigger. Yeah. you could do 3 layers, green, pink, and then green again. So the green or the pink is just very subtle in here.
Yeah.
With these trims, you can put them on. Oh, I wanted to show you, this is silk sari ribbon twisted. So again, using silk sari
ahead, say it fast.
ribbon, silk sari ribbon. It, you know, if you buy some sari, it comes this wide, so that's going to fit on your die because this is only an inch in total. So you could have a silk edging on too, which would be very pretty for such a feminine design. So you can either all out go with the fancy, prissy, feminine design and add the silk, or if you're like me, you could primitive grunge it up a little bit by putting on the linen or stitching linen or feed sack, something that's going to ravel slightly on your edges. It's just going to be a little bit of a rough edge to
Something
this
imperfect.
dainty. Something imperfect.
Yeah.
I, however, am going to use wool. So I have to
That's
decide.
my dog snoring in case anybody's asking.
I have to decide if I want to use this one. This is what's this one? This is different.
One is.
Isn't this peaceful?
This is peaceful. Yes, this is this right here.
Oh, that's that.
Yeah.
Okay. And this is gone.
This is gone.
Never mind.
I'm going to tell you, people, 9 times out of 10, Julie goes through my scraps.
Well, I do because I
She
try to use
picks-
scraps instead of taking a whole quarter yard
She
off the
picks
shelf.
something and she'll say to me, "How much of this do you have left?" And I'll go, "I don't."
I am a little thrifty after all. I'm using this because this just isn't big enough, and this was in her scrap bin also. This is leftover. What was this called?
This one here was, I think that's Sweet Annie from a long time ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
But this one is a little bit softer. You can see they're very, very similar, but this is just a little bit softer, and I feel like it's going to fit this design better. This is also on the website, the punch needle and the hooked rug version.
And what's this called? Hint
This
of Spring.
is called Hint of Spring. Because I said we always try to come up with new names, and Mom says it almost has like a hint of spring to it, and I said, there you go.
That's it. Well, because we decided that, like, when we first started, we had B-skeps, and sometimes when I get an order for a B-skep, I got to look them all up and make sure I've got the number jiving to the B-skep. There's a B-skep in the flower garden, B-skep.
We
Well,
have a
yeah.
lot of names that are very similar. So I cut it off the weaver's cloth, and then I press a miter in. So when I start pressing, I press in here,
Yeah.
press all 4 corners, then I come over here, press this side, press. I lay my punch needle piece so that I can just see a little bit of the fabric beyond the edge. Then I'm going to come along, and I'm going to snip and snip. And then I'm going to put this back on here. Because I tore my wool, you can see right there that it has a slight fray. While I'm stitching it on, I might trim this up because I don't want that fray to be seen from the front. Then I'm going to turn it over, and I'm going to just pin it in a couple of spots because I don't want it to shift.
I'm working on a bunny right now.
Do you do the same
I'm
thing?
worried about yeah, because I'm worried about it shifting on me.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to do a backing for him.
I just put a pin in on all 4 sides. Obviously, if it was larger, I would put more pins in. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to decide which edging I want to use. So, where'd the other one go?
I
Right
get
here.
it.
We're lucky it's not in a puppy's mouth.
Yes, we are.
So I kind of like this one, and the reason I left the 1/2 inch here, I asked them to make it with a 1/2 inch, is because we're going to stick it in here. We're going to stick it in like that. That's going to allow us enough material to be able to have it in here securely. That's really cute.
I like that.
I do too, but let's try this one. This is the wavy one. I like it, but honestly I'm not feeling it as much as that one so far. You could also mix them. Why not?
Well, now you see what's in my brain. If I was doing this, and this is very feminine, if I had some pink silk or something that I could even lay in there for that line. It would be tedious, but I'd love it.
I have to tell you, I have not tried this. These came in late yesterday, and I did not try these to see how this was going to look, which is always risky before you come on camera, because I think we've discussed this before. This could have been a total bust.
We have done a couple of those.
But I love this. I'm not loving this one so much for this design.
Oh, you guys do fit in that big
However,
shell. Yeah?
yes, this one cut, because there's such a distance between the waves,
Yeah.
this would be great for staggering two or three
Yeah.
colors.
Yes, it would.
So I'm going to take this one out.
Yeah.
We know this one's not going to it's not going to appeal
This
to me
exact
because
one.
it's too, this has a spooky Halloween feel to me.
Okay.
So for your Halloween punch needles, definitely give that one a try. It's between this one and this one. What are you thinking?
I'm stepping back. No, you just switched it on me now.
Yes, brick rack, definitely.
I think I like this one better.
I do too. Okay, so here's the thing. If there's anything that has to be done backwards or in the reverse or anything like that, it takes me a while to think about it. I have no shame in that. I'm like, especially when I'm designing punch needles, I still do it. I've done hundreds of them. But to this day, I'm like, okay, wait a minute. Is it going the right direction? It has to be looking at me, because then when you put it this way, it's going to be this way.
Yes. Yeah.
And then they have to do it this way, and then it's going to turn around again.
Yes. And then every once in a while you have a real blonde moment.
I say it in every video. It's a real shit show. Okay, so this is perfect right here. I'm only going to show you how I'm going to get started on this one edge. I took my pin out. I put it between both layers.
Yeah.
And now I'm going to put my pin back in because I don't want any shifting. And to make myself feel better, I might put another pin up here. I put my loop in. I go in from the front. I'm going to just snip the end off because I don't like to see it, and it settles in with the loops. And then I'm going to very carefully,
Repeat on that one.
very carefully pull my thread. And then I'm going to have to go through the back and up through the front very carefully. This is crinkly thread. And then back down. Because I have that 1/2 inch of the trim within the 3 layers, it's grabbing it. The thread is grabbing it, so it's not going to fall out. So I'm just going to do a couple more stitches. I want to show you that when I'm getting to the little crevice area, I am, instead of going through the fabric and out the back, I'm going to bring it through that crevice area. And the reason I'm doing that is because I like to pull the wool up right to here so that you don't see any bits of white.
Yep.
So then I'm going to
come
back up behind the little circle shape. So then I'm going to go down, and I'm going between the loops. And I'm going to come back up again over here. And then I'm going to go back down again.
No, so
I hate finishing because it doesn't really change the overall look of it. Like right here, you would not have known in the picture on the website that this is not finished. However, if I'm adding something like this on, I won't mind doing it because it's
Right.
adding to the overall appearance
Right.
of it. So I am going back down, and see the loop, it pulls that wool up so that it comes and hugs the loops.
Yep.
So you don't see any weaver's cloth here. Okay? So I'm going to go along and I'm going to do that on all 4 edges. Now I happen to really like this because even though this is kind of a fussy design in here,
Yeah.
and this is a fussy edge, because I'm making it the same color as the thread, I just really think it adds a lot to it.
Now see, I see this hanging on like a cabinet, pie safe or something that has like a wooden. I see that.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
So keep that in mind when you're adding your edgings to the piece. The edging, as we discussed by showing all 3 or all 4, it should match the design. I feel like if I round it, so imagine that this is here, right?
Yeah.
If I round it, you could round it, but you're going to have a little bump in your wool there.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to start fresh. So I'm going to start right here with another one. But that's completely up to you. You could put a little snip in there and cut that bump out so it lays flatter. I did want to talk about this is a new series. There's only 3 so far. I still have a tulip that I'm working on.
Can you hold them up?
It's called the Chunkies, Chunkees, Chunkies, kind of, cool. Anyway, okay. This is very primitive. I've had these around for quite some time. My goal with these, we have a flag and a heart. My goal with these is that I see so many people out on social media that say, I would love to learn how to do this, but I don't have anywhere to take a class. You don't need to take a class. Find yourself, even if you buy yourself a yard of linen, find yourself a primitive hook. You need a primitive hook, especially if you're going to use the torn strip method. You don't have to have a fancy design. If you get your yard of linen, you cut it off, just do a little zigzag stitch around it if you can. If not, you can put shipping paper or shipping tape.
Yes.
In the old days, we used to take a piece of shipping tape,
Yep.
Put it over the edges so the linen doesn't fray anymore.
And if I couldn't find shipping, I would find masking tape.
Masking tape,
Yeah.
something so your edges don't fray.
Yeah.
You're going to take your fabric, you're going to find some wool. And this is because you want to learn rug hooking, but you're intimidated by it. Don't be intimidated. There are fancy designs and there are primitive designs. And I think sometimes people get intimidated by seeing, like, oh my God, how do I do this? How do I do that? Just compartmentalize. I'm doing that a lot lately. I got a lot of different chambers in my brain open. Compartmentalize. Get yourself some linen. Draw yourself a heart. If you don't want to do that, we have the pattern. We have the kit also, which comes with all the wool. If
you have to rip and tear it. They have to rip and tear it.
You want to find a medium weight wool. We all have those army blankets in our attics. You really can't use that. You'll kill your hand. It's way too thick.
Yeah.
You want a medium weight wool. You're going to take your scissors and you're just going to eyeball it. Do 1/2 inches. This is what I did sitting in my chair with these. I went through Mom's scrap bins, and I think I already learned that she doesn't have this gold anymore, right?
Exactly.
So your gold will be a little bit different if you get it in your kit. And this is not a good wool because it's shreddy.
But that's okay. You can use shreddy, Julie. You can use shreddy.
Yeah, but it didn't tear. So I'm going to show you. There's that live thing. 1/2 inch pieces. There you go. If you have a more heavier wool, not heavy, that's more tightly woven wool, you're going to get a nice tear. Yeah. Now, having said that, this gold was shreddy. See it right here? You can see. Yeah. I didn't care. I had a couple of long pieces that I did trim up after I was done hooking.
Yeah.
When you're hooking with a 1/2 inch strip, this is what's referred to in our world as a number 10.
Yeah.
If you had a die cutter, this would be a number 10. Mom uses a number 8 for this one.
8
An 8 is a 1/4 inch, so it's going to be 1/2 of this.
Yeah.
If you don't like this look right here, it's too much for you, it's too bulky, tear your strip, take your scissors. It's going to be tedious. So what?
Yeah, some people have rotary cutters that they cut with.
I would kill myself with a rotary cutter.
Yeah.
I would cut my finger off. Take your scissors. You're sitting there watching TV. I always say, you're sitting watching TV. You're saying, I'm going to finally do this, but I don't have a cutter, but I really want to give it a try. You're going to tear all your strips into 1/2 inch strips. After you do this, you're going to buy a cutter.
Yeah, because I have had people say, oh, I love my Fraser or my Bliss. I love cutting. It's so calming. And my thing is, I don't want to cut.
No.
I want to get it done. I want to hook.
We have a die cut for the number 8. This is a 1/4 inch strip right here. I just cut it from my 1/2 inch that I tore. You can do this. Then if you like the torn strip, you like this primitive, fluffy, bumpy, chunky look, just hook your 1/2 inch strips. Take a look at our videos. I think, how many of you that are watching actually hook? I was going to say that we shouldn't talk about this in this video because I feel like everybody knows how to hook. But I'm always surprised at the amount of people that say, I don't know how to, and I don't even know how to get started.
We have a lady who follows us that's a quilter, and she says she doesn't hook. She just likes to follow us.
Right. So if you want to give this a
try. I have no idea why.
We do sell linen by the yard. It's $35 a yard. I don't think we've ever changed the price of our linen. You know, lots of rug hooking stores sell linen.
Oh, Kim says I don't hook or punch. Kim, why are you watching us?
Maybe she appliques.
Maybe you like dogs, Kim.
Right. Whether you cut your strip in half or you go with the 1/2 inch, you're just going to get a primitive hook, primitive end. I talked about it on the product page. And you're just going to start pulling. You're going to stay within your lines. If you're doing a heart, you're just going to start pulling those loops all around. It's not going to be perfect. It's your first rug. People angst over this when they come here. They say, I hate the way my hooking looks. They pull it out a million times. Don't pull your loops out. You're going to look back at that rug someday and see how far you've come.
And this is what I say to people. When you're hooking and you want to be... I had a lady who pulled out the wool a lot, and it was like, ooh. First of all, you're working so close to it. Before you pull it out, put it down and walk away about 5 feet, and it gives you a total different depth perspective. It's kind of like when you look at your face in a magnifying mirror, and it's like,
horror,
holy
right?
crap.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you look at it in the regular mirror and you're like, oh, that's not bad. And then you shut the light off and you're like, hey, that's pretty damn good. Just give yourself a chance to explore without keep tearing it out trying to be perfect. And that's one of my big things that my big bugaboos is I want this to be an enjoyable experience for you. And if you get too anal about it, it's like going to school.
Somebody asked if we sell scrap bags of wool. We occasionally have bags of strips. Mom gave me a sheet, and I haven't put them on yet, but I will get those on.
I was going to say,
she as her stash of strips cut. You can see one right over there on the floor.
Yeah.
She will put together some bags, so I'll get those on for you.
I always cut more wool than I need. That's a thing with me. I don't want to run short, and maybe I don't want to get up that time. So I will cut more wool. So I always have it. So I just kind of throw it in a bin, and when I get it big enough, I bring it into the store and we sell it.
Right.
Because I haven't used it.
That's right. If you want perfect, buy a machine. But if you want perfect, there's nothing wrong with that. You can aspire to that. But just don't beat yourself up and don't give the craft up. The other thing is that I'm seeing a lot of people right now, and I have to address this because it's driving me crazy on social media. They're not understanding the difference between punch needle embroidery and punch needle yarn. They are not understanding punch needle hooking. It's called rug punch, actually.
Yes.
I'm going to do a video on that, but at least they're diving in. I don't like people saying, I can't do that, or I don't know how to do it, or, I mean, in this day with computers and Facebook and YouTube and all, there's a video out there for everything.
Yeah, yes, there is.
There really is.
Yes, there is.
Find a person. It doesn't have to be us. Find someone that matches your personality. We tend to talk a lot, in case you didn't know. If you want someone that's going to get right to the point, there are videos out there. They're going to say, here's how to do it. Sit, do this, pull it this way, do it, you're done.
No nonsense.
No nonsense. We're not that way. We really should kind of try to make it a little bit more concise, but, you're all here, right? So anyway, if you want to try hooking, you like the primitive look, or even if you want to cut your torn strips in half to get a number 8 and a little bit more of a cleaner look, these kits are for you. I have a tulip that we'll be putting out in the next week, hopefully, that I'll finish.
Well, what I will say about that is the torn strip, this is definitely primitive. You cannot get what I call fancy. You can't get fancy with primitive. This to me...
You can.
Well, this to me is primitive, but it is fancy.
If you wanted to do torn strips with that, you'd have to blow that design up. You'd have to blow that up so it's bigger, because those torn strips are not going to give you a nice clear stem. So that's the other thing. If you like this design and you want to do it in torn strips, you would just have to enlarge it.
And I would not do the in-between here. I would just do one thing.
Right.
These are going to be bulkier. It's just going to be bulky, that's all.
It is bulky, and I love it. The other thing is, I loved this before I pressed it, but I love it even more after I press it, and I'll tell you why. When you press and steam, my loops curled. They start curling, and I love that look. Some people might not like it. I happen to like it. It kind of, when you steam it, it pushes and compresses everything in. That's just me. And guess what? I haven't finished it yet.
Oh, you know what? She'll leave them for Mom. Let me ask you, do you want to...
No, I got a lot of chair time coming up in a couple of weeks when I have my knee surgery.
Yes, you do. I just wanted to mention this card from Janice, who sent it. And it's a lovely card, and she sent me this because she was at a place and she saw this little sticker, to be kind, and it reminded her of me. And that makes me happy because I want to be kind, and I want everybody else to be kind, but damn it, they're not being kind lately. I guess I want to just ask everybody to just be kind right now. I just see so much out there that I'm thinking.
It's because you're reading those damn books and watching those movies, Mom. You got to watch something happier.
I want people to be nicer.
We'll see you all next week. Thanks for watching. We really appreciate it. And everybody, don't forget to what, Mom?
Be kind.
Right.
Be kind.
Bye-bye.
Bye.